afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's an absolute pleasure, and thank you, our panelists, for joining us here. Uh, we've been hearing since morning about how we are, whether we are on track or not. Some good words. Obviously, we also heard that we are not on track. Last 10 years, highest temperature and all this stuff. Obviously, not acknowledging the reality will not help. Possibly we need to do that, and we're experiencing it here and everywhere else. So the roadmap ahead is both urgent and complex, and that's what I believe, and that's what I will try to understand here from the panelists, from the panelists here. Encouraging progress in areas such as renewable energy adoption, green hydrogen pilots, energy efficient infrastructure. But obviously, critical gaps persist, and we'll try to understand from everyone's point of view that where we are in that journey and what needs to be done ahead. So once again, thank you everyone. So I'll start from the extreme left, ma'am, you there. And if you can, your thoughts on where currently India stands, in its net 2070 roadmap. What have been the promising, developments, and what are the key hurdles? Very briefly, if you can go around of that, and then we can start the conversation.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me here, and good morning to all of you. I represent Invest India, the National Investment Promotion Agency of the Government of India. Our main mandate is to enable Make in India for domestic market, but also Make in India for the world market. So FDI is our main driver, and when we track FDI into these sectors, India's commitment to net zero by 2070 is a huge potential, and there is no one sector which is impacted by this net zero commitment. It is sector agnostic is what we see. But over the last decade, what we see in terms of robust growth, in terms of attracting foreign direct investments into the sector, renewable energy is on the top of the stack. With robust government policies, incentive schemes, and local industry competitiveness which is maturing, we see a huge potential and a growth in the renewable energy sector. Second sector which we see a huge potential and a rise and a increased investor interest is the electric mobility, which has seen almost 3 times the investments year on year. The third one, we would say, this is the green hydrogen mission, which is driven by, robust viability gap funding by various government entities, and good exemplary projects coming up, like the recent SEMCORP one last year, which got grounded, which had a commitment of 4 billion investments and a purchase agreement from the Japanese government. So such models are emerging in terms of foreign direct investment into that sector. The fourth, we would say, is the data center, green data center, where we see an almost 70 to 80% surge in uptake and in capacity. We already have 1 gigawatt capacity in the data centers, which is expected to reach to 1.8 gigawatt, which is like almost 70 to 80% increase by 2027. And that is a huge 100 billion investment into that sector. So that's again very attractive for investors. So these are the 4 high potential sectors from our perspective where we see heightened investor interest. The other sectors, as you rightly say, that there are potential, but it is not attracting investment the way we want to be, which are the hard to abate sector like the cement, steel, even agriculture for that matter. It's a huge potential for investment, but then we are yet to see any investor interest into it, which has a huge potential of almost 700 billion in capex and almost 14 billion in opex every year. So that's again where we see a huge potential. So these are some of the sectors that we are working in Invest India across sectors.
Thank you. I think what's critical is while investments are coming in, what's the quantum, what's the quantity, and whether that's enough or not. That's one thing we need to understand probably once we come back to you. And the second is, you touched upon data centers, green data centers. Again, we really need to understand whether this is just a greenwashing, because data centers are guzzlers. So we'll come back to that as well. Mr. Singh, if we come to you. Yes.
Thank you very much, Economic Times, and Very good afternoon to all of you. I'm MP Singh. I represent Rail Vikas Nigam Limited, which is a basically infrastructure creator. Essentially, it was for Indian Railways now, but we have diversified in many sectors in infrastructure, not only domestically but also internationally.
What's your view on where are we in terms of our net zero 2070? Especially, you said that RVNL was mostly for railways, which is like again diesel guzzler. Used to be still a electric guzzler, I would say.
It's very true that the transportation sector is one of the major energy guzzler, and in fact, in our country, due to primarily mix of the moving a lot of traffic through road, the logistic cost itself is very high. And Government of India has identified this thing, and they have made a mission to reduce the logistic cost to global standard of around 8% in the coming years by various policy interventions. And Honorable Prime Minister's National Gati Shakti Master Plan is in one direction, where basically they want to create an infrastructure in such a way that it integrates the various transportation infrastructure in such a way that the cost is reduced, not of the only energy, but also the carbon emission is reduced. And railway being inherently efficient as compared to the road sector, there has been a lot of focus on the railways network expansion on the major routes where the major traffic is generated. And there has been emphasis on reducing bottlenecks at various junctions where the traffic gets stalled and basically speed of the transportation gets reduced. And there has been emphasis on creation of multimodal logistic parks also, where the railways is directly able to take up the loads from the production centers, and it avoids basically multiple handling of the cargoes. And Indian Railways also had taken various initiatives in terms of reducing its carbon footprint. Indian Railways has gone in a big way for 100% electrification of its routes, and I'm very glad to share with that in this current financial year, almost 100% of routes will be electrified. And with the increasing electrification, the requirement of the traction power is likely to go up. Railways has already taken a lot of steps regarding solarization of the stations, but in direction of the traction load, which will be around 10,000 megawatts by 2030. A lot of steps are being taken for reducing carbon footprint by using green energy for the traction power. And Indian Railways has made a mission to, by 2030, to be net zero in the traction field, for which Indian Railways will be using power from the solar power with the battery storage system, because it will provide a stable power for its traction requirement. Hydrogen power trains are also under development, and they are likely to come in next year. And a very new kind of technology, that is a small modular reactor in nuclear field, that is also being tried, because the railway's traction requirement is distributed at many locations, so that you have to lay long transmission lines for feeding to those substations. So a small modular reactor feeding to different substations has been a very good solution for this thing. So RVNL is also in talks with the global players in this direction, and we'll hope a good beginning will be made in near future. And it is also a major challenge for Indian Railways in terms of that Indian Railways is a major transporter of coal right now. And in coming days, due to shifting from the coal-based power plants to solar or other renewable sources, the transportation of coal, which contributes to roughly 70% of the Indian Railways freight transportation, will be reduced in coming days. So Railways is devising suitable policies so that it attracts various other traffics to compensate for the loss of the coal traffic in forms of the container traffic, or directly taking up from the production centers, transportation of vehicles and other things.
All right, thank you. If there's a railway reporter here, there was just a news which has been shared right now that the railway's gravy train, which is coal transportation, is going to go down. But that's a good sign because I was coming to that. In fact, if you would have not addressed it, because making the traction 100% electrification doesn't only mean that you're going green, because that's like just moving, niche to say, but yes, you're just moving it to some other center. We'll come back to that, sir, later. Mr. Joshi, if I may come to you, and ONGC, I mean, it's a oxymoron to say that a company which was founded on the basis that you will be extracting fossil fuel is now going green. And I saw the green shoots years back when ONGC started into renewable energy. How do you see the progress right now?
Good afternoon, and thanks to the organizers for inviting me. ONGC, as you all know, is primarily a E&P company, which is an integrated energy company. And we have taken a lot of initiatives towards energy transition or to achieve the net zero goals. Country goal, is 2070. For ONGC, we have set up a net zero target for scope 1 and scope 2 as 2038. We have created a separate company, a 100% subsidiary for green business to take care of all the low carbon enablers. We have plans to have 10 gigawatt of capacity by 2030, and we intend to spend around 1 lakh crores by 2030 and 2 lakh crores by 2035. Coming to the enablers, the conventional wind and solar. Our key focus area is solar, and we have adopted a two-pronged strategy to achieve our goal. One is through inorganic growth, other is through organic growth. Inorganic growth means to acquire companies, and in that direction we have acquired, in collaboration with NTPC, a big renewable platform called Ayana, wherein we are taking up all activities through that platform. We have also acquired one company called PTC Energy. Now it is called ONGC OGL1, which is having 7 wind power plants. So the policy framework is there for conventional renewables. The industry is mature, so everybody is focusing on that. What we need is to have a focus on the new technology areas, like told by others, green hydrogen, CCUS, and maybe storage is an important element. And then there are some mandates from government, like we have to have 25 CBG plants in a given time frame. Green hydrogen, I feel, is going to be the game changer, but right now, government has given a lot of support through Green Hydrogen Mission, but there are issues with respect to the viability of the projects. We need more VGF, and then off-takers. Off-takers are a big challenge. Off-take is there, then green hydrogen is definitely going to come up very fast. So currently people are doing pilots, and we hope that with the support of the government policies and the thrust given by government, green hydrogen will gain momentum very fast and very soon. CCUS again, we need to have a policy for that. ONGC as such had an arrangement with IOC earlier to have their Koyali refinery emissions and as a source, and then to store them in Gandhar reservoirs as a sink. Coming to CBG, we have the mandate to go for 25 CBG plants, but because that's a typical business which can be done by a typical mindset, and our focus is on big projects, but for that we are doing joint ventures with expert players in that field, because we want that CBG mission should be taken forward at a faster pace. So we are going to have joint ventures with EverEnviro and SFC. Coming to pump storage, we are in discussion with NHPC because we feel that pump storage or storage as such is going to be an important player in times to come. The gestation period is long, 7 to 8 years, but if you wish to have green hydrogen, then you need to have a stable supply, and for that, the storage is an important element. So ONGC as such is working in all the areas I must say that we have moved a lot, because from 0.2 gigawatt last year, now we are 1.6 gigawatt operational, and another 1 gigawatt is under construction. So we intend to achieve the target of 2038, and we believe that the target of the country can also be achieved with the help of the supporting policies, frameworks, and their issues which are there, which needs to be resolved, like land availability and connectivity. These are two issues which need focus, and government is taking a lot of action on that. So I believe that, yes, we can do it by 2070. But only thing is that whatever we preach, that should be implemented. That should be, word should be put into action to achieve this huge target.
Okay. You could have asked for anything else today, because your questions are going to be answered right away by the person sitting right next to you. He represents Niti Aayog. So you just heard the gentleman. What are we doing in the spaces that he just mentioned in terms of policy interventions?
So you see, truly honored to be a part of this panel discussion. So at NITI, as you are aware, we kind of conceptualize, curate policies, and finally, decide that where it should be anchored, which ministry it should be going forward, who should take it forward, kind of thing. So my area being electric mobility, my area being transport, and transport is rather a small contributor to the greenhouse gas emission, close to 13 to 14%, but still, mobility is something that's a major challenge for the urbanization that is going on. How to adopt a clean transport, that's a challenge. So as you know, since last 10 years, if I were to say, the report card, just 2-3 touch points. FAME 1 was there, followed by FAME 2, faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. FAME 1, 2015-19, FAME 2, 2019-24, followed by PM E-Drive. Then that has been supported in turn by the multiple PLI schemes are there. That is, of course, automobile and auto components, PLI for advanced chemistry, cell and battery storage systems, that is another PLI is there. Then some critical missions are there. So electric mobility mission, national mission on transport mobility is there. We have got critical mineral mission is there, so missions are there. We have got some national campaigns, Shuni campaign is there, eFast is there. The good thing that is happening in mobility is two. Number one, states are aligned today. So, states in their own vision of Vikasit Bharat, they are definitely placing this sustainability, this national commitment for achieving net zero by 2070. These are the things that is their, kind of reference point. And based on those reference points, they are making a very aspirational, kind of strategy paper, and how they are going to implement, how they are going to achieve it. That is one thing. The second thing is that at the national level, the ministries which are responsible for it, not only transport, because transport cannot be seen into isolation, it's a complete ecosystem. So if you are thinking about electric mobility, you have to think about battery waste management, what would happen to the battery and things like that. So the complete, all the ministries are alive to this national commitment, that we are going to achieve it. And that's why, each one of them they are working on the kind of, that what should be the roadmap, what should be the milestones. My sense is that in the transport sector, we should be able to achieve it much earlier to 2070. I won't be able to speak about the complete transformation of other sectors, but definitely in transport, my sense is that we should be able to achieve it, and the way we are moving on, it gives all the more confidence, and this reinforces our, confidence into the methodology that we are following. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. I think that's a very beautiful way of federalism, because mostly there is an umbrella policy of the government, national government, and there is individual policies of state which are not aligned and which is dragged to the entire ecosystem. And I believe if the transport, the segment that you are speaking about, if that works probably that could be a role model for others as well if that happens. So I'll come to you, Mr. Avla, now, and how is the dialogue between government policies and corporate strategies shaping the decarbonizations? And I ask you this because you also represent the private sector.
So thank you. Hello. So thank you, Saurabh. Good afternoon, all. I'm Lakshit, representing SAIL. Saurabh, I think power sector is a major contributor to the decarbonization and net zero journey for the country. I personally believe, I think we require a more resilient power sector in order to achieve our consumption goals. For us, we need to, I believe, reduce inefficiencies, improve our grid connectivity, improve, various issues, as one of my fellow panelists have spoken about. For example, land issues and connectivity issues in order to go forward. I think we not only just have to focus on a part of the value chain, but at least, but I think to a major part of it. So for example, module manufacturing has grown to 87 gigawatts. Now cell manufacturing is coming up and going back the value chain. Overall, I think if these initiatives take place, I think we should be able to achieve our target in a much faster manner going forward. And from our bit, I think SAIL is doing its growth quite exponentially and wonderfully. We are at 7 gigawatts, doing about 3 to 3.5 gigawatts of module manufacturing, which is in a way aligned to the decarbonization and the employment generation as well. Apart from that, waste to energy, as we've seen the video as well, I think is a major contributor towards addressing a bigger problem of employment and stubble burning and pollution. So overall, I think decarbonization, I would say, would require initiatives from all sides, and hence we should be able to achieve our goal. And India can be at the top when it comes to decarbonization, because as a country, I think we are well placed, both financially and economically, and from a point of view of government initiatives.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Chawla. So again, it wasn't designed so, but so you were sitting here, Mr. Mohanty, and we saw a video there where his company, I said that more stubble burning parali jitni jalti hai, you need more urvarak to get more yield. And you are here, which is using from Hindustan Urvarak and Rasayan, which is using a lot of gas. Which is fossil to produce those urvarak.
Yes, thank you, E.T., for inviting me. And on the contrary, I am coming from a sector which is urea, and if you see that the produce 1 ton of urea, generally 0.5 ton of CO2 is generated, and the entire fertilizer industry in India generates nearly 25 million tons of carbon dioxide. And having said that, the 85% of this carbon dioxide emission comes from fossil fuel, whereas 15% comes from the electrical energy. So renewable energy front, okay, we have done very well. But since this sector is particularly highly subsidized, and as she was mentioning about agriculture, so it's the policy intervention by the government is very much required in this thing. Otherwise, green hydrogen, yes, it's the emerging topic of today's year. But from green hydrogen to green ammonia, and the consumption of the green ammonia, and the main consumption will be the fertilizer industry in that way. So until unless we address our government policy intervention about the subsidy pattern and how to, it's a very tricky subject because Indian farmer is very much linked to this thing. So to increase whereas our nearby, if you see the nearby country, Pakistan, Bangladesh, their urea price is 2,600 rupees per bag, whereas we are supplying to our farmer in 260. And since last 20 years, nobody could dare to touch this increase of the urea price. So it's a biggest challenge that we are talking of achieving net zero, but really converting the industries into the green ammonia and going for the renewable energy and increasing the cost of the product, which is ultimately going to be used in the field, that really a biggest challenge as on date. And having said that, I will say that I am quite confident that the day will come that we will be achieving these things also, because while if you take the example of Ramayana, while taking the Ram Setu, the Banar Sena and the squirrel, everybody throw the stone into the sea to form the Ram Setu, and net zero 2070 is a gigantic task, but everybody will be a part of that, and a consolidated approach is required for that, achieving this thing. Thank you.
I like how Mr. Mohanty puts it. He first puts out the problem, and then he gives us a very answer which I cannot refute actually. That okay, we have to till 2070. We are actually taking 20 years more than the other developed countries actually to achieve these goals.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
I mean, still we have, but I think there is a problem which I'll state. Probably I'll come in the next round, which is while we have a 2070 deadline. There is no industry-specific practices that have been developed, and that is why we see different companies having their own targets. Had
Exactly.
there
I
been-
told that in isolation, everybody is doing certain things.
Exactly. There is
It's
no
not a
consolidated
consolidation of
effort
it.
which is
Yes.
going in. If
Yes.
there is an industry best practice or something which could be done, then people could learn from the notes of others. Right now, everyone's doing on their own, and once you're on that path, it's very difficult to retract from there. Right?
No, I'll say one thing, that around, you see 60 million tons of fertilizer is consumed in this country. And 60 million ton transport by railway or by truck, it is there. The both transportation is there. So until unless the transport sector is also linked to this type of factories and all this thing, then put together all can achieve the single goal towards the net zero.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Srivastava, to you, fine. So what do you think, where are we in terms of net zero 2070, the hurdles, the promising starts that you have seen in your sector?
First of all, thank you for having me as part of this event. At least the goalpost is there. All our efforts are in that direction. 2070, we all know that we have to achieve. And as you said, we have taken 20 more, we would be taking 20 more years to go there. But given the size of our economy, given the population that we have in our country, that's just the right flag post that we have, and at least the target is set. And towards that target, everyone has their own individual way of moving. I represent Indian Oil, who has declared operational net zero by 2046. By operational means we are operating 11 of the refineries of the country, and our marketing operations, we intend going net zero by 2046. And we are taking all efforts to do that. There are some very good, and in fact, let me go back to the day when the net zero target was set by our Honorable Prime Minister, and he said that first thing was 2070, and he also laid down few more Panchamitra principles, as we say, where emission was also one of the very important aspect to be tackled. And to do that, there were three roadmaps which were thought of to be pursuing. One was, we have achieved a lot in that, which is renewable energy generation. Second is going towards energy efficiency. Again, in our own manner, we all are doing efforts as a corporate, as individuals, to achieve energy efficiency in our way. But the most important aspect, I think, which I would like to highlight here is the third part, which is fostering lifestyle changes. I think that is something which lies at the foundation of actually achieving 2070 goal of net zero. If we can do it in our lives, we can collectively do it for our corporates, and we can collectively do it for the country. And that's something we all have to keep in mind. Having said that, because I represent Indian Oil and Indian Oil's Research and Development Center, I would like to highlight that one of the hurdles that we foresee and we all know is going to be there, apart from the right kind of financing, is the right kind of technology. Once there are technologies, but then you have to adopt those technologies, indigenize those technologies in the country. And whether it is the electric mobility or whether it is any other green hydrogen generation and so on and so forth, we need to be technology independent from the imports point of view. And I feel that also needs a lot of focus, because right now we are in our effort to achieve a particular target, but once we reach a critical stage, there will be a need for having our own technologies, our own materials, our own components and components of components. By that I mean, if we are generating green hydrogen, there will be electrolyzers needed. We are making electrolyzers, but most of the components of those electrolyzers are coming from abroad, or we are going to import them. So if we can indigenize them, if research directions can actually concentrate in that direction, we'll be well on target. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, well, I'll go to Ms. Sujata now, but just a quick question amongst yourself. So everybody talked about what they're doing individually. How many meetings have you had interpersonally or within the, for the organizations about these exchange of notes that we are doing here right now? Anyone here? We have? Please, any experience from there, any collab? Because what we talked about was the silos. So
Yeah.
if there is any collaborations that's happening.
I can talk about HURL, that we are the second largest urea manufacturer in this country. But simultaneously, we have got our responsibility towards net zero. So we have started collaborating with IOCL for the CBG plants and getting those fermented organic manures and liquid organic manures, taking up to the farmers. This perception means the farmers should accept this perception that my soil has got already lost the organic carbon. So by applying this thing, whatever the carbon footprint which is being there also in the soil, that can be eradicated by applying this organic carbon. So we are handholding all those biogas plants in the country. We have signed a MOU with IOCL. Also, we are on the way of signing MOU with Reliance for their all CBG plants to market. And now Department of Fertilizer has also given that task to HURL in the entire India. We will be the leader for marketing of those things and taking up to the farmer doorstep.
All right, great.
If I may just add on, you see, you will agree with me that the government's avowed commitment is that we are going to have a whole of government approach. So the idea is very simple. No policy today comes out without very, very extensive stakeholder consultation. Not only among the government ministries or departments,
But the
no.
private as well.
It is to the private people also. Rather, we want to be 100% sure that there should be no, roadblock in its implementation. So we go to the last person that, okay, that's why when we create a policy, we put it in public domain that, okay, you can give your suggestions so that it can be considered. And that is the idea is only, as I said, that it should be, the implementation should be improved upon. So that's a very, very, I would call it, it's a new thing. That's an innovation in the governance system that you are witnessing. And we are getting dividends out of it, yes.
Great.
I'll also like to add here that yes, there are a lot of consultations happening between the government and the corporates, both public and private. I am personally have been part of a lot of such deliberation, right from the EV deliberation to the green hydrogen policy, and now I understand a national mission on carbon CCUS is also being discussed. So that's something very different that we have seen in the last 1 decade, and a very welcome step.
Just to add to it, Invest India, we are a Section 8 company. We have 49% by the governments, including the central and also the state government, and 51% by the major industry association. So when we are looking at promoting investment into a particular sector, we do engage with the whole of stakeholders. we also create something called a heat map, across the value chain. Where does our strength lie? Where does our challenges lie? Like in case of, say, renewable energy. We know the domestic market is matured in terms of solar and wind, but we also know that there is a long way to indigenize Make in India in these sectors. So there is a currently there is a huge gap, but that also we consider as a huge opportunity for the sector to develop our own technology or to bring in JV partnership in technology or investment to strengthen the Make in India initiative. Then, basis that heat map, we also work with the state government, with the central ministries, and also with various corporates to identify where is the technology we are lacking in, which country, because again, we are engaged with a lot of bilateral conversations. India is also engaging and also signing up a lot of FTAs, especially the recently concluded UK FTA, the EFTA. So all these platforms and bilateral agreements are also focusing a larger portion of it on clean economy. So we also identify opportunities in these sectors. We engage with the private sector. How do we present these opportunities to investors or to JV partners abroad? So that's the whole area, because no silo interventions can actually help. It's a whole of government approach, and it's also whole of India approach, right? When we are talking about individual commitments of companies, we also see that India is an aspiring economy. We have our own Viksit Bharat 2047, where we are looking at reaching almost 30 trillion in GDP, where we are looking at moving from a lower middle class country to a developed nation. So that means we have our own aspiration, we have our own consumerism, which you cannot avoid or you cannot deny. So how do we balance both our economic growth and our net zero ambition? So that's also an approach which the government brings in, like individual companies having their commitment will also support the whole of government, and that will also unlock a lot of economic opportunities. There's a huge, opportunities in terms of green jobs. We are looking at addition of at least 15 million green jobs addition to it. So it's working in, it may look like it is working in silos, but there is an integrated approach both with the industry, within the ministries, and also with state governments.
Okay.
And that is how the whole opportunity is unfolding.
Okay. I'm sure that's happening. Probably if it could be made more visible, that's what I was referring to. Mr. Singh, you wanted to add something?
I must add that government is moving in unison to achieve this goal. And as far as the transport sector is concerned, the National Gati Shakti Master Plan is a major initiative in this direction, because earlier what used to be everybody was making planning for the transport sector in isolation. But National Gati Shakti Master Plan integrates all these things. Where is the requirement of the road sector is there, where coastal shipping is possible, where railways can supplement this thing. So it is an integrated planning, and the projects are also being sanctioned in that way, where the optimum combination of the transport is possible, which will not only reduce the carbon footprint, but also it will ultimately lead to the reduction in the logistic cost for the country as a whole, which will make Indian industry more competitive as the world stage.
So
Saurabh,
I'll come to you, sir. One, just staying a moment with you. So when projects come to you, I'm sure many projects come, you're doing overseas, Indian projects also come. So in Indian projects, what's the percentage of projects which actually has departmental, inter-modal, whatever sort of synergies where especially green is the primary focus? If I may just ask a ballpark figure in terms of percentage, or maybe any anecdote.
When it comes to the project planning and integration between the different modes, or collaboration between the different modes, one major example is, I can tell you, is of multimodal logistic parks, which are coming up in a big way. And at least 35 multimodal logistic parks are planned across the country, which are the major production centers. And it will integrate all the modes of transport from those logistic parks, which will have...
How green are those, sir? How green are those? How green are the multimodal centers?
Yeah, because what happens now, production centers and centers from where the logistic movement takes place, they are dispersed. Basically, somewhere production center is there, but you have to take use various modes of transport to take up, whether if you have a long distance transportation requirement of those products. First of all, it will have to be taken to the some terminal where it will be loaded. So it requires creation, use of the road transport. Then it is loaded at the railway wagons and taken to long distance. And from there again, it is unloaded and taken to the other, where basically ultimate consumption
Distribution
center
centers,
is there.
yeah.
But when you use multimodal logistic parks, directly from their production center or major centers of dispatches, these can be directly taken to the consumption centers, or for basically when export traffic is there, containerization is coming in a big way from directly from production center to the ports, they can be taken up.
Got it. Mr. Joshi, you wanted to add something?
Just adding to this point, there is a lot of interaction as far as government sector is concerned. We have seen that in case of green hydrogen, MOPNG has taken a lot of initiatives to bring all the players, all oil and gas companies on one table and to share out the problems regarding implementation of green hydrogen projects. And finally, it yielded result. Now recently IOC has awarded a contract for green hydrogen in Panipat for 10 KTPA. Similarly, I have seen for CBG, regular interactions are there, private as well as government players are interacting, sharing their problems and bringing out solutions. Only thing which I see is that the interaction at larger private players and government sector in new and emerging technology areas, that needs to be enhanced. And one typical issue what PSU or government sector faces is that for new technology, you have to collaborate with the international players. And by my procedures, I am bound that I cannot select my partners on the merit of the partner. I have to follow certain procedures. So some sort of action is required at that front also, where some flexibility is required that I can choose my partner, green hydrogen or CCUS. In both the cases, recently whatever developments have come up are outside India. We are developing the facilities here, but that flexibility is required for a PSU or a government sector to have a collaboration or partnership with a strong technology leader. Otherwise, I have to follow a procedure again, inviting expressions from 10 players and then finally selected. But if you want the best, you need to have to collaborate with the best in the market. And these are uncertainties in the new technology areas are more. The technologies are changing. You never know whether alkaline electrolyzer will give you the best result or PEM or SO2. So that front, some action is required. And similarly for CCUS, if you see, we need to collaborate with partners. We had a MOU with Shell also, but I mean, that interaction needs to be increased more. Government sector, government is in fantastic support, organizing all sort of meetings, and many issues have been resolved and things are moving. But for new technology areas, we need a different lens or different angle.
I can draw a parallel to having a diplomatic passport, the pros and cons. While you are celebrated abroad, but going there is a problem. Okay, Mr.
If I just respond to your last question, 100% of railway projects, they are routed through PM Gati Shakti.
Okay.
Not even a single one goes without that. So IFT or Department of Expenditure will not clear a project until they see that it has been scanned by PM Gati Shakti, and there are, they have been, PM Gati Shakti will also go through it very, in a very methodical way. They will identify that why not opt for this particular alternate material, building material, rather than this, which is greener in option. So you wanted to know whether they're green.
Yes.
So the best possible of the green component is also added on there. And of course, I'm not saying that every time it is complied, it may not be possible also. But yes, as far as the routing is concerned, it is through PM.
No, that's very good to know, because then, more pair of eyes, as in our journalism is said, that more pair of eyes, you identify more mistakes and, the copy gets better. So so I'll take a pause here and probably look around if anyone has any questions for our panelists here. If you have, please raise your hand. And if the mic can be passed on to the lady sitting there. Ma'am, please keep your question short. If it's directed towards any speaker, please mention that. And it should be within the realm of the conversation here, please. Do we have mics here?
Thank you, panelists. It is a very informative discussion. My name is Seema Sutradhar. I'm the founder and CEO of Fintech and Sustainability Consulting Company, SEAM. My question is about achieving net zero targets in line with 2030 goals. Sir, as we talked about railways, one of the issues in net zero transition is the offtake of renewables as well as green products. Say, for example, in railways, if the rails are produced by one entity and is taken by railways, the offtake issue probably gets addressed to a large extent. So capital is also possibly not that big a challenge. Then the transformation, what is the core challenge that we are facing in this capacity building?
Okay, if I may rephrase your question, you want to understand regarding railways particularly, what is the challenge when it comes to offtake?
No, so when the offtake is also there,
yes,
then what is the challenge that I'm curious about?
Okay, I don't know, sir, would you be able to take it? Anyone?
So you see, in fact, many of the answers you give while framing your questions also.
Yeah.
So basically what you are saying that there is a demand and there is a supply, then where is the challenge? Now it's not so easy, you see. Even if it is there, you have to make it reach to the end consumer. So as a consumer, I may not like to have the product which you have created, let's say renewable that you have created, at the cost that which you are giving me. So the affordability comes to the position. Therefore, capital is important. Now, it would require a lot of things in the sense that the capacity building is there. From a renewable point, from a point of origin to the point of consumption, there are multiple, there are companies which are involved in the sense that there is a generation company. You are assuming that you are the generation company. There is a distribution company. Then there are grids and everything is there. So that capacity building has to be there. So I would say the affordability has to be there. Capacity building is there. And what was also said earlier, it calls for a lot of stakeholder consultation plus behavioral changes. If I'm there to advise you that tomorrow problem of Delhi will be solved, why all of us not go into public transport? Then you will say that, okay, you have enjoyed the personal car, now you are advising me to go on public transport. Now, it's a change of behavior. In Europe or for that matter, anywhere outside India, you never ask a person, ki kaise aaye the? Everybody, that's not a non-question. Here the first question is, kaise aaye? And the moment he says that, okay, metro se aaye, that is acceptable, but if he says DTC se aaye, then the sky falls down. You say that, bata diye hote, gaadi bhej dete, kind of thing. See, the point is that how to make these people move. For the school children, nobody asks, ki kaise aaye the? All school children go to the school by bus. But for the office goers, it's an infradict that you are coming on a carpooling. Now, of course, it is gradually picking up. So these kind of disruptions require a lot of behavioral changes. And it doesn't come, so fast. It takes a lot of time, a lot of awareness initiatives you'll have to get into. Then people will start. Now, carpooling is something which is acceptable. Very well, rather it is a preferred kind of thing. Till, I would say, a couple of years ago, it was something that was a non-starter. We thought that probably it won't work. Now it is gradually working. So that's why I'm telling you that multiple things are there. That is, even if when demand supply is there, you will have to work on them.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. There was a question there, yes. Please introduce yourself, and if you have the question directed towards someone, and keep it brief to the point. Yes,
Sure.
please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Manas. I'm a US-based entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Arthan Energy. We are long duration energy storage startup funded by US government. My question first is to Mr. Joshi. What is the outlook of long duration energy storage, which is beyond 4-hour batteries in India? And then the second question would be for Mr. Sinha. If a new technologies, when they come to India, like what is the pathway of going from, a proven technology overseas to a pilot in India? What does that look like? Thank you.
Both the questions will make his entrepreneurial journey easy, but yes, we will answer them. Please, Mr.
Your
Joshi.
first question is regarding the storage. For storage, now there is a lot of work going on, and as far as batteries are concerned, the prices have come down significantly. Now every tender which is coming out for even a solar, there has to be a battery component. So the demand in batteries is rising. But as you know that a more cheaper option will be to go for pump storage. For pump storage also, but those pump projects require long gestation periods, 6 to 7 years. So every government has come out with pump storage, state government has come out with policies on pump storage, and land is being offered. You have to identify the reservoir, and then you have to put up your proposal to the state government for its clearance. So both the areas, work is being done. In the short run, it will be covered by battery, and in the long run, the pump storage is going to play a very significant role.
Thank you. Mr. Sinha, the second question in terms of...
So you wanted to know about the technology part of it. See, we are absolutely open to all the technologies that are there. So it's not that, the only thing that we want is that it has to be a technology that should be absolutely suiting us, in the sense that the affordability, commercial viability, those things have to be there. We are pretty well aware that if we have to pursue this net zero, and especially in my stream, that is the area of transport and mobility and e-mobility, then we have to be technologically have a leapfrog on that. We have to be always advanced on the curve. This is the reason why we have nudged the IITs, and today 16 out of 23 IITs, they are having centers of excellence. So at 16 places, you can be sure of that they are working on this stream of sustainable engineering, battery technology, battery management systems, powertrain. They are designing on those things, that how best they can do it. Alternate chemistries, so those are the things that they are working on. So this is how we are taking it forward. Now, if you recollect the last, multiple statements in the last budget, it was very clearly said that research and development is going to be the core focus now. Because once we went into granular details of understanding and the lessons learned from the China story, then the understanding comes that focus has to be on research. That is why, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, now it's Jai Anusandhan. So research and development is there. 1 lakh crore rupees has been allocated for it to start with. And that is how, the Department of Science Technology, they are working that how exactly it has to be taken forward. Not the kind of research which is a very, very, long-term, research in which you create a post of professor and then lecturer and then reader and then peon. Not that kind of research. Research in which straight away you are connected to the corporate, the OEM, where a specific problem statement is there, you have to work on it and get the delivery. Or else, something which you can push from TRL 3, 4 to that of 8, 9, so that commercially it can be implemented. So that is the kind of focus which is there.
Okay. Mr. Aldo, you wanted to add something very quickly? Yeah.
I think IIT Bombay has made significant progress, just to add to Mr. Sinha's point, in solar cell manufacturing. In a way, cell manufacturing, R&D shifting from China to India is a very big positive for the country. And if things like this, keep happening, I think we'll be at the top when it comes to R&D and new technologies.
So I'll also like to add that apart from the IITs, there's a very robust, evolving startup ecosystem which is happening in our country and which is going to be, to my belief, the game changer in terms of actually indigenizing and bringing the cost down of these technologies.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We have almost run out of time, so probably we'll close it here. I hope if there are more questions, probably we can get them answered later. But thank you, everyone, for joining us here. My key takeaways would be that, obviously R&D is something that we are focusing on, which the country lacked forever, like for time immemorial. And it's very heartening to see that there are collaborations which are happening amongst the PSUs and the mini PSUs, because that's how you have the bandwidth to show something which can then be percolated down to the entire country and the entire ecosystem. So thank you so much for joining us. Maybe I asked some skeptical questions, that's because that's my job, but hopefully we are on our path to achieving our goal well before 2070. Thank you, everyone.